Today I'm going to test the lightfastness of every single black and red marker that I own, and the reason I'm doing the black and red is so we can get a really good comparison of the two, because sometimes certain colors are more lightfast than others. So I actually started this test about 6 months ago, and you can catch the first video here, but I'll give a little summation of it. I tested Crayola Super Tip, Staedtler, Tombow water and brush and their alcohol marker, Crayola Broadline, Lyra, Copic, Sharpie, just a regular Sharpie, Karin pigment, Karin water, Kid Made Modern, Blick, Windsor and Newton. So what I did is I wrote a black line and a red line, and then I also drew a black dot and a red dot to compare all these markers. Let's recap what lightfastness is. Lightfastness is when you put something up on a window or you leave it outside, it's going to fade with time. And if you're making artwork, you don't want that to happen. So I'm in search for a marker that does not do that. Because I made a Copic drawing one time, I put it up in my window, and within like 6 months it had completely faded. How would I have to draw a picture to make sure that it wouldn't get faded over time? Sometimes people use markers in the background for a coloring page or an artist piece, and we'll see if these markers stand up and which markers we should use. There was a marker set that I was not able to test that I have a stinking suspicion that they might be Lightfast. It's the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist markers, and I really want to get a set of those and try those, because if they are, those will be my go-to markers and I will use them all the time. I'm Jenny from Jenny's Karin Collection. I help you guys find the coolest art supplies, and today we're looking at the lightfastness of a whole bunch of different markers to see which ones were the best. Hit that subscribe button below because I have a lot of other really cool videos and you don't want to miss out on any of them. Today is the day we are going to take out, this has been hiding in here behind all of these papers. It's been well protected in the light. This was about 6 months ago. We are going to go get the other one and compare the two and see which ones were the best for lightfastness. This is where the other one has been sitting for 6 months. We're going to leave it up even longer and maybe check back in like another 6 months. I was going to do every week, but that didn't happen. Before we look at these, I want your guys' guesses. Which one of these do you think was the best for lightfastness? And I will tell you that it's going to be a shock to you all. We are going to use a piece of paper and put this over it so we can compare them one by one. This is the Crayola Super Tip. So, this is the Crayola Super Tip. There's not much black left. This was the red, this was the black, this was the red, this was the black. It's interesting, the red is more, it's basically gone at this point. Okay, let's look at Staedtler. Not much better for Staedtler, which is disappointing. We get a little bit more pigment but I mean, if I was going to make a drawing and I wanted my colors to be my colors, I wouldn't want my black to turn to brown. Next is Tombow. This is the water. Actually, this is the alcohol. No, this is not the alcohol. This is the water-based one. So we see the black is done pretty well over 6 months. The red actually has hardly any pigment at all. That is surprising, though. The black is done so well compared to the red. This is the next. This is Crayola Broadline, which tells me that the Crayola Broadline has a different formula than the Crayola Super Tip. Let's look at that. It's gray and red. You can still see the colors. They're not as vibrant as they used to be. The next one is Lyra. Our black is pretty good for Lyra. Our red is not so great. So this tells me too that different colors have different lightfastness, which we should test also. This is Copic. Wow. So these are really expensive markers, and you can see how this one almost looks gray. This one looks like pale red. There's not much left. The dots seem to be doing better. Maybe that's because you get more marker down. Let's look at Sharpie. Same. It's about similar with Copic. The black is a little better. It's not as great, but then your red is faded a lot. Okay, let's go to Karin pigment marker. Wow, look at that. That one is basically the same. This red might be the fact that it went on a little bit lighter just as I brushed up. The reds look really similar. So far, Karin pigment is our winner. Okay, let's look at the Karin water brush. Let's not give away the next one. Karin water is similar to Crayola and Staedtler and all those other ones. This turns into a brown. The red kind of just fades away. Can't even hardly see it. Okay, next is Kid Made Modern. The same thing, it turns into brown. So these are like the undertones that are used on the black. The red is better, but it's still very faded. This is the Blick markers. The black is pretty good comparatively, but the red is faded. We're looking at Windsor and Newton. It's almost the same as Blick. Your black is pretty good, but then your red is really faded. And then Tombow alcohol. I don't know why this one turned gray, because unless I used a gray, I'll have to look at the original video, see if I used a gray. But this one has faded a lot. It looks like I did not put the red on this side, so we can't see what the red would be like on that side. We could just do the red to see what the red looks like, since this was put in, like this would have been put in the book. So what did we think of these results, guys? I was honestly super disappointed. I thought more of these were going to be Lightfast. Like hardly any of them were, except for the Karin pigment, which tells me that if I'm going to use markers for any kind of artwork, I really have to apply like a fixative to make sure that it's Lightfast. And maybe in another video I will go on the hunt for some of these things to see if that makes a difference, and we can do another test. And also that I shouldn't use markers if I want to put anything like in a window or anything like that, unless I'm using the Karin pigment based markers. And which leads me to think, would paint be better? Would crayon be better? Would colored pencil? All those are probably better alternatives to markers. Even though markers are super easy to use, all of those would probably be better alternatives because they won't fade with time. But a lot of these markers faded with time. There's nothing going around it. We saw with our own eyes what they did, and they'll probably just get even worse. We'll try this again in a year. We'll follow up and see what is worse. So now we are probably going to be on a search. If you have a marker that you think won't fade, let me know and I can try that one. We can do another test with some of the markers that you guys won't think will fade. So what do you want to see next? Do you want to see colored pencils or some paints? I don't own a ton of paints, but I could get, a few of each and see which ones are Lightfast. So let me know in the comments below what other supplies you'd like to see the Lightfastness of, and we can do those tests. I hope you guys really liked this video. It was really eye-opening for me today. I was super shocked, and I hope you guys liked it, and we'll see you in the next video.